For a bar and bistro the way it's meant to be, visit 722 Port Road, Beverley.
If you need to fix your pipes, call Precise. Call Precise. If your toilet's blocking up, call Precise. Call Precise. If your lights aren't turning on, or your hot water is gone, or a plumber or electrician, call Precise. Precise.
Precise Plumbing and Electrical. Call 1300 700 200. That's 1300 700 200. Precise Plumbing and Electrical. On time, on budget, on the job.
Or a plumber or electrician, call Precise. Call Precise.
I'm here at Cherry Glen Osmond. It's home to the car that everyone is talking about, the Cherry Emotor 5. What a spectacular vehicle. It's light years ahead of everything in its class and starting from 33,000 drive away. It's got everything you dream of in a car. The tech is mind-blowing and it comes with a 5-star NCAP safety rating, 7-year factory warranty and fixed price servicing. If you're looking for a new car, you've got to go Cherry. Book a test drive at gocherry.com.au.
Super Sipper drink bottles have arrived at Drake's supermarkets. So now you can stay hydrated in style and be the envy of all your friends. Get your free Super Sippers drink bottle when you spend $50 in an eligible transaction. There's 18 awesome drink bottles to collect. It's only while stocks last. Don't miss out. Sippers that are this super won't last long. Get into Drake's and start your Super Sipper drink bottle collection today. Drake's. Ingredients for thirsty days.
Da-da-da-da! Bargy here from Barbecue Adelaide Weber Stores. Have you got mates coming to gather around your barbie this weekend? Get ready to tee off with a brand new Weber Barbie from my Barbecue Adelaide Weber Store. We got the full range of Weber barbecues so you can entertain your mates. So get ready to treat yourself because you only live once. Come see me, Barnsley, at Barbecue Adelaide Weber Stores, Jebs Cross and Mile End, and prepare to get lit.
Angie McBride, talking Adelaide on 1395 5AA.
It is 9 minutes past 3, 8223 0000. I'm filling in for Jade Robran today. You can also tune into our 5AA Facebook live stream thanks to Foodland Supermarkets. And if you do, you will see Tim Downey on the screen. Johnston Withers is your Adelaide legal firm with 75 years experience. Check out johnstonwithers.com.au. Hello, Tim. How are you?
Hello, Ange. Thanks for having me this afternoon.
Thank you for coming in. And, of course, Tim is here. Legal advice, free legal advice is always very much welcome, 8223 0000. So get those calls in. Tim, shall we recap on the previous week? So Gary Ablett Sr., What's he been doing and what's the latest on that?
Yep. So I spoke about this topic with Jade a few weeks ago, as you said, and as I predicted, these new claims that are springing up, they're a bit more like medical negligence cases that we do here, because what the players are now focusing on is that they were allowed to go back out onto the field when the medical knowledge was such that the doctors ought to have known that that was dangerous and that would have increased their risk of long-term injury. So they're actually suing the doctors, the clubs and the doctors. He's also sued the AFL, as has done the Bulldogs player Picken, who issued his proceedings about 2 weeks ago, about a fortnight ago. And they're very similar proceedings. So there was a Richmond player that was successful in doing this, in getting leave to do this, because you've got to remember these guys played a long time ago, so they're well outside their limitation period, which is 3 years. But the Victorian court has given them leave to bring these cases now. So what they're really alleging is that the medicine was there. The medicine said, if you get concussed, you should not play for, say, 2 weeks. But, of course, they were just put back out on the field.
Well, that's the thing. And Tim, I've been watching I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. Adam Cooney is in there, former Western Bulldogs, and he was saying that he said there was one moment where he got concussion, taken out for a little bit, and then forced back on in that same game. Yeah. I mean, it's not a good look when you look at it now at all.
No. So I looked at one of these cases for a player that had played for the West Coast Eagles, and so he was playing for the feeder club East Fremantle, and the vision we had of him being knocked out was was pretty it was pretty dramatic. You know, like he was totally, you know, the full blown knocked out, and he was dragged off the pitch. Second quarter, midway through, and then he's back out on the third quarter, right, playing again. Now, he didn't get another kick. He doesn't remember going home. He doesn't remember the rest of the game.
Oh, my goodness.
The thing he was most upset about was that he was doing really well and hopeful of getting back in the Eagles AFL team. But, of course, that was put to paid because he'd been knocked out. But... so this was just commonplace. This is what was happening. And where these cases will be won or lost is the actual knowledge at that time, okay? And that's the critical thing. You can't go back in time and say, oh, yeah, the doctor ought to have done that, because we're now operating on a better understanding of what those protocols should look like. Back in the day, they didn't know that, all right? So those cases will come down to a lot of expert evidence and also what standard of care would be appropriate. A lot of people think, oh, well, gee, they chose to play, and the cases aren't, that's not really relevant for this type of case. Of course they chose to play, and of course they knew the risk. But what these cases are about is the player trusting the doctors, and the doctors saying you're good to go, and that's really what the cases are about.
Yeah, it's going to get very messy, I think, because, like you said, but wouldn't you expect the AFL there'd be an absolute duty of care issue there as well?
That's why they're now rubbing players out for a week or two for even a tackle, which we know drives Rowey insane, because they're tackling and the other player hits their head. And the AFL now are rubbing players out even for that type of tackle, because what they are wanting to do down the track is to say, look at our protocols now, look at what we're doing now. So, yeah.
Now, let's briefly discuss the Fox News one, the Fox News versus Dominion. They were the electoral voting system company, weren't they? It's been a big payout there.
Huge. I don't know about you, Angela. I don't have $730 million in my bank account.
That's about $1 billion here, isn't it?
That is about a 1.3 or 1.2 billion. So not a small amount of money. And interestingly, the original investors in the software company Dominion, that's more money than they've ever seen. You know, this was a real windfall for them. But this is...
So in a nutshell, Fox were in trouble because Fox News were peddling that the Donald Trump's election was stolen, which was not the case. So Dominion felt like, well, hang on, you're saying that we did the wrong thing with the voting and counting. That's the crux
they
of it,
were and there were some very specific allegations that the Fox commentators were making. Things like this program was developed by, you know, South American dictators to ensure they won elections. So that what the allegation is that the comments that were being made were very, very targeted to the technology, that the technology can be manipulated and can be used for, you know, producing an outcome. And of course, the Dominion are saying that's absolute garbage. Like, it is just it's accounting, you know, software, and that's all it does. So they took them to court. And in Australia, we wouldn't have this case because you can't sue a company for defamation in Australia. It's interesting, isn't it? You can only sue an individual for defamation. So this is two companies, and you can't have in Australia, we wouldn't have this case, number one. And number two, in Australia, our damages are very heavily capped. So we would never see this amount of damages being paid. You could sue... Companies could sue each other for example, you know, malicious harm, or, you know, some sort of a breach of duty, that sort of thing, but it wouldn't be defamation. You can't be defamed.
So say if it was here and we've got a Tucker Carlson type from Fox News, could we sue Tucker Carlson? Because
we
that.
can. We as individuals, and I'm sorry, I probably misspoke then. As individuals, we can sue.
Yeah.
But a company can't sue for defamation. So we wouldn't. So if you like, a company can't be defamed. So we wouldn't specifically have that type of case here. It would be different, but also our damages are heavily capped, so we wouldn't have that sort of judgment. But it is an enormous. It really does go to show that they had in America to win a defamation case is really, really difficult. And so the evidence must have been overwhelming for Fox to want to settle. Yep.
Could Fox then sue Donald Trump for sort of starting the election was stolen, it's incorrect? Could they then do that?
No.
Okay.
No. Well, I wouldn't have thought so. They could only do that if Trump had come out and said defamatory things about Fox, for example.
Okay. So it's not Donald Trump putting out incorrect information.
No, I mean, they no, because you see, they're broadcasted.
Yeah,
so the moment you broadcast it, then you're
liable.
You're liable. And that's the same as here. So
yes,
if you're the broadcaster, you're liable for it.
Interesting. Got Tim Downey here, Johnston Withers Lawyers, 8223 0000. If you've got some legal questions for Tim, robot technology. There have been cases in Australia where people have issued defamation proceedings to robots.
Yeah, this is really interesting. And in fact, it came up on the morning show with Will and Dave the other morning, where this type of technology is now creating music. And so electronically, so you can mix, so you could say, I want Michael Jackson to sing a Queen song, all right? And then all of a sudden, bang, you've produced it. The software just simply...
you can't do that, can you?
Well, you can. That's what the technology allows you to do. So there's going to be a lot...
No, but you can't just take that. Because we've got to play... If we play music, we play opera and all those things. Sort of the same thing, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, this is going to be a really big deal.
Yeah.
Because none of this stuff is really worked out at the moment. So who owns that? Who gets the royalties out of that? So it's really hugely complex. Now, what's happened in these cases is that the software has come up with a defamatory story about someone and it has been broadcast. So it may have gone out may have gone out on social media, I don't know. It's a piece of misinformation that someone's put out there on the net, and it's been published and it's on a Google search, and all of a sudden you're reading about a mayor. In fact, the Australian case was a mayor, I think, in Queensland, and you're reading this story about a mayor, but it's completely contrived by the robot chat box.
Wow.
Bizarre stuff.
So who would be responsible for that? The person who asked for that. So say if I did that, so they could sue me and the company?
Yeah, presumably you could, for example, let's just say it's up on Google. You could do a cease and desist letter to Google. Google could then make the choice to bring that down if it's clearly inflammatory or if it's clearly untruthful. And if they don't, you might have an action against them. But my understanding is I don't think you could ever find out who created it, because that's the nature of the software. So it's really, really, it's quite scary, to be honest, and particularly because you could now have a video and superimpose your face in a video of two kids having a fight. It's just I don't think people have their head around where this is going to go.
Yeah, these kind of internet laws and social media laws, you just must be tearing your hair out some days thinking, oh my goodness, like how... Because they're not fantastic yet, are they?
No. Well, the law can't keep up with it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the bottom line.
It's coming up to 22 minutes past 3. Tim Downey from Johnston Withers Lawyers is here. Johnston Withers is your Adelaide legal firm with 75 years experience. Check out johnstonwithers.com.au. Get your calls in now, 8223 0000. You can also watch us on the Facebook 5AA live stream thanks to Foodland Supermarkets.
What if your next holiday was always parked just outside the front door? Dave Benson Caravans sell your next holiday, and unlike an expensive overseas holiday, your dollar remains as an asset, your caravan. With over 120 new or used caravans and campers on display under one roof, the DBC Caravan professionals can tailor your next family holiday to your lifestyle and needs. Your Australian journey awaits and begins at Dave Benson Caravans, 64 Grand Junction Road, Kilburn.
Hi, Rory Sloan here for You Install It Kitchens. Are you planning a DIY renovation? Then visit the team at You Install It for the complete DIY kitchen solution. You Install It Kitchens cabinetry is custom sized and pre-assembled with Caesarstone benchtops, Oliveri sink and taps, and a large range of appliances by Fisher & Paykel. Visit a showroom, Modbury, Churchill Centre, Norwood, Glandore and Lonsdale, or visit the You Install It website for online 3D design. You Install It Kitchens, the complete DIY kitchen solution.
Scroll. 6 KFC original tenders for just $6.95. Shut up and take my money! Oh, that is the perfect crispy arvo pick-me-up.
Not everywhere and not forever. Only on kfc.com.au and KFC app. Pick up only.
Ovarian cancer is a lethal killer, taking the life of one woman every 8 hours in Australia. I'm Edwina Bartholomew, ambassador for this year's Witchery White Shirt campaign in partnership with the Ovarian Cancer Research Foundation. 100% of the gross proceeds from the sale of every Witchery White Shirt go directly to the OCRF to fund life-saving ovarian cancer research. So buy your white shirt from Witchery and make a statement bigger than fashion, because this white shirt can end ovarian cancer.
Now's the time to indulge in Travel and Luxury magazine. Explore exceptional style around the world by discovering unique places, vibrantly designed hotels, and trend-setting stores showcased in this design-focused issue, only in the Australian Tomorrow.
The spirit of the Anzacs lives on in all of us. Show yours with pride this Anzac Appeal Round. Stand tall, stand proud and stand together as we honour past and current serving members of the Defence Force and acknowledge their sacrifices in a moment of silence. This is us. Show your Anzac spirit by attending your favourite game in honour of the Anzac Appeal Round. Get your 2023 Toyota AFL Premiership season tickets from tickets.afl.
This doesn't sound like a conference. This doesn't sound like a work trip. And this doesn't sound like team building. Because corporate events sound different with Discovery Events. With amazing venues in special places across Australia, including in the Adelaide Hills, Victor Harbour, Nagambie Lakes, Kings Canyon and Rottnest Island. Sound good? Visit discoveryevents.com.au, your destination for premier venues in unique locations across Australia.
Angie McBride, Talking Adelaide on 1395 5AA.
It is 25 minutes past 3. Tim Downey is in the studio, 8223 0000. Leith from Happy Valley has a question. Hello, Leith, how are you?
I'm well, thank you, Angie. Thank you for taking my call. And Tim, I'm going to bring it down a little bit. I'm bringing it down to fences.
Sure, Leith.
Okay, so I live on the high side of my neighbour, and we've got a fence. It's probably about 40 years old, but at some stage somebody's added something on his side, and it all needs replacement, and the guy below me insists that I have to pay for it all. Now, I understood that it was the person on the low side that is responsible for, what do they call it, the retaining wall.
Yeah.
I'm happy to negotiate with this guy, but he's adamant that I should be paying for it.
Isn't it half and half?
Yeah,
I thought.
I would have thought it's half and half.
Okay, well, I'm happy with that, but I have heard someone that the person on the low side is responsible for the retaining wall.
Yeah. I'm not Leith going to go out on a limb on that, and it'd be the wrong thing for me to have a guess. I mean, my understanding of the Fencing Act is really that where possible and where reasonable, the parties come to an understanding of what would be an appropriate replacement and cost, and then it's up to the parties to sort of, obviously come to those terms. And that, of course, is actively encouraged. It sounds like there's no question that the fence has got to be replaced. So you can tick the box on that.
Leith, why is he thinking it's you? Like, have you done some damage, whether it be from roots or a tree, or what? Why is he? What's his reasoning behind that?
Well, the houses in Happy Valley were built about 40 years ago.
Yeah.
And so my side is significantly higher than his side. And there's the original retaining wall, which had a smaller fence, and then somebody's put another fence on top of that.
Yeah.
And
laws have changed, though, haven't they, Tim, in 40 years?
Yeah, although the Fencing Act is, probably hasn't changed significantly. I would ask him, can he be kind enough to show you why he thinks you have to bear that cost?
Yeah.
I think that would be a place to start. And then I often will recommend that people go to, and you can look up, for example, local community legal centres or legal service.
Yeah, and mediation or something like that.
Look, absolutely, because if you end up in the magistrate's court, you're going to spend the cost of a retaining wall and some if you end up slugging it out.
Does that answer your question, Leith?
Well, sort of.
Yeah, you just don't want to pay, but try and chat to him.
I'd ask him just if he could set out exactly what that cost is. I would be surprised if it would be all of the cost and not potentially it might be part of the cost and you would share the balance of the cost. But again, I'm not, that's just speculation.
Thank you, Leith. Another fencing question. It's always a very contentious issue, isn't it? David from Greenock. Hello, how are you, David?
Yes, good afternoon. My question is, I've got a hedge. It's about 2 metres high and about half a metre wide, probably, or maybe a metre wide. It's made up like of a fern that has been trained into a hedge over 20 years. Now, my next door neighbour has suddenly decided that because it's hit about 6 inches over his side of the fence, he wants it cut back to the boundary. Now, I spend a lot of money every year keeping it trimmed up, looking in a nice shape, etc. And I've been advised by the gardener, if he cuts it back that far, he's going to kill the hedge. And it's worth a fair bit of money, obviously. What are my rights?
Tim?
Wow. Well, you've both got rights. In the end, he might and look, to be honest with you, David, it's very difficult to answer that question over the phone without getting a fair bit more detail. I would have thought that you've got a right to keep the fence, to keep the hedge, I should say, and as long as it's on your property. Is the issue that it is going over onto his side of the property? What's his problem with it?
His problem is he can't mow his lawn properly because it's got about 6 inches over the boundary, and he has to use a whippersnipper.
Right.
Poor thing.
I mean, it's been there for 20 years. It didn't suddenly jump over his side of the fence. I mean, if he'd asked me 10 years ago to keep it to my side, I could have kept it trimmed that way.
Yeah, but shouldn't he be having it trimmed anyway, Tim?
Yeah.
You might have to trim it right back, David. I'd probably.
Can you offer to sort of go over there and trim it back to a point that he's satisfied with?
That's negotiable.
Yeah.
I mean,
you
that's
may have to.
Yeah,
I mean, if it's 6 inches over that.
Yeah, if it's 6 inches over, I mean, he could call it if he wanted to, and you wouldn't be in the right. You'd have to.
You might have to get your whippersnipper out, David. Thank you.
But David, I'd ring the council just to get some input from them. Someone there might be able to help you a bit.
Let's quickly, before we head off to news, let's quickly go to Paul. Another fencing question. Hi, Paul.
Hi there. I was just, I'm actually involved in the property management business, so we do have good fencing questions, and these circumstances arise quite often. So in relation to the first caller, the high side and the low side, so if the fence is safe and not causing any issues and not a threat to anyone on either the high or the low side, then the person that doesn't want to have it renewed is under no obligation. Some people don't like the colour of them, or they want a good neighbour fence, or they want this or they want that. But then, if that's what they want, then that's their responsibility.
Yeah, that's right.
So if the fence is causing no issues to anyone's safety or harm, then the person that wants to replace the fence is responsible for the total cost unless they negotiate with the owner.
Yeah, I'm with Paul on that one.
Oh, no, and that's definitely, that side of it is definitely the law in that sense. But I understood that from Leith's question is that that wasn't the case. So
he seemed to think...
it was a problem.
Yeah.
That it did need replacing. And that's where it is probably an issue.
Oh, look, that is like you said. I've got lots of questions on that, but we do have to go. Thank you, Tim. Appreciate you coming in. Tim Downey. Johnston Withers is your Adelaide legal firm with 75 years experience. Check out johnstonwithers.com.au.
This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Good afternoon. Mel Usher with the latest news headlines. The family of a former Adelaide man found dead while on holiday in Bali are trying to find answers to what happened. 28-year-old Charlie Bradley was found unresponsive in North Kuta. A man's been arrested following a service station hold-up at Holden Hill earlier this week. Greg Norman is talking up live golf on the eve of the official event getting underway. He says we'll see an economic impact here that's never been done before. And in sport, Ollie Lord is on track to make his AFL debut this weekend for Port. The 5AA forecast, partly cloudy this afternoon, cloudy tomorrow 19. Right now it's 17 degrees. We'll have more news at 4 and as it happens on 5AA.
5AA Nights with Leith Forrest.
Graham Corns has been to the opening night of the Rocky Horror Show. It's the 50th anniversary. He's been kind enough to call in for a review. Cornsy.
Roving theatre critic.
I love it. So what's your favourite tune? Are you time warping or are you sort of sweet transvestite?
He did sweet transvestite so well. And it's hard not to like it.
Leith Forrest. Weeknights from 8.
But you have to love the time warp.
On 1395, Adelaide's 5AA.
Has your family run into a legal dispute? Have you had an injury or car accident you believe you can claim for? Has someone left a will that you want to challenge? If you find yourself needing a lawyer, you need the team at Johnston Withers. Johnston Withers is a legal firm with over 75 years' experience, and they've just expanded north with an office in Salisbury. They have plenty of expertise in family law, personal injury, motor accident claims, wills, estates, workers' compensation, asbestos claims, and much more. Every second Thursday, we'll talk about current legal issues with the legal experts from Johnston Withers, but you can call them anytime. Johnston Withers Lawyers, when experience matters, City, Salisbury and online at johnstonwithers.com.au.
Moving into retirement is a big step, and buying a unit can be prohibitive. So here's an alternative: renting. At Riverbank Village in the heart of Mount Barker, they offer quality rental accommodation for seniors. No entry or exit fees and no hidden costs. Just one fortnightly payment, which includes 3 meals daily and a weekly linen service. To find out more, come up to one of our open days and enjoy a sausage sizzle this Saturday or this Sunday from 1 to 3 p.m.
Menulog's got a finger-licking good deal for you. Right now you can score a free Zinger burger with any KFC Burger Box meal delivered. Hurry, this deal's around for a limited time only and exclusively on Menulog. T's and C's apply. See an app for details.
Whether you're a Sparky, a Chippy, a Fiery or a Bikey. Whether they call you Curly, Tubby or Tiny. Whether next door means a few feet or a few miles. We know the weather's harsh in South Australia. But Olympic Industries carports, verandas and sheds are tougher than most. And if they're strong enough in the country, they'll be strong enough in the city. Some say strong as an ox, others say hard as nails. We just say built to last. Olympic Industries.
Wella, wella, wella. Everybody's gonna buy Hoyt spices. Everyone's gonna save $1 or $2. Everybody's gonna buy Hoyt spices, yeah.
Hold on, Hoyts sell more than just herbs and spices. Tickle your taste buds with Hoyt's pickled vegetables. The Giardiniera pickled garden salad, Australian hot chilies in vinegar, Hoyt's gherkins, capers, sun-dried tomatoes, Kalamata and green stuffed olives. You'll be happy with Hoyt's at Coles, Selectable Worths and all good independent supermarkets.
Hoyt's spices, yeah.
Imagine sleeping better, sleeping longer and waking with more vitality. Mini Jumbuck McLaren Vale has a range of Australia's favourite wool mattress toppers that increase sleeping comfort by up to 35%. Feel it for yourself. Visit us in McLaren Vale and you can explore mattress toppers plus wool quilts, pillows and protectors. And with factory direct pricing, you might want to sneak in some Ugg boots and comfy wool clothing too. Mini Jumbuck, Australia's favourite wool bedding products for over 45 years. Open 7 days in McLaren Vale.
Angie McBride, talking Adelaide on 1395 5AA.
It is 23 minutes to 4. Rowey and Timmy G with the sports show. They're all excited. The Live Golf is up and running. And if you want to tune into the 5AA Facebook live stream, you can so. Thanks to Foodland Supermarkets, a new service which links military veterans, first responders and families who have been impacted by service trauma has been launched today. CEO of Resolute Ready and Ambassador Derek McManus joins me in the studio. Hello Lydia, hello Derek.
Hi.
Great to be here.
Now Lydia, tell us what Resolute Ready is.
Well, Resolute Ready is like an online directory that's linking veterans and first responders and their families to service providers. So if you have a service in mental health or you can offer education, employment, transition, there's a whole list of needs in our community and you've got a service that can actually help this community, please go to resoluteready.com and you can actually submit an online performer, and it's like then it sort of gets submitted up online in this big cloud, which is like a big library if you like, and which means that when these amazing human beings that serve this country and others around the world, it's actually a global hub, will always feel like they'll be connected and supported no matter where they go around the world.
So Lydia, what is your story? Why did you want to start Resolute Ready?
Yeah, well, look, a couple of years ago, my husband, I'm a partner of a veteran, and my partner suffered chronic post-traumatic stress disorder and alcohol misuse disorder. And as we know, when someone has that level of trauma, and he served in East Timor, it really impacted him as a husband, as a father, and we were very impacted. We sort of developed our own mental health issues. But the good thing is, I can honestly say, is that with all the help that we have now, initially it was really difficult to get hold of a service. We didn't know where to go, how to access them. But look, at the end of the day, if we can get help to these families a lot sooner, then we can probably reduce the harm and the impact of the service trauma has on families.
Can I ask, is your partner around today?
Yes,
still together?
he is. Yes, we're
okay.
still together.
Okay.
Hence, what we want to bring to the table is our experience. The pain and the suffering that we actually endured as a family, and now in recovery, we can actually share that knowledge with community.
What were some of the things that you were dealing with and you found difficult with your partner's trauma? Like you said, the drinking.
The drinking, the anger outbursts, the hypervigilance. I felt like as a partner walking around on eggshells. Prior to diagnosis, I really didn't know how to help. I didn't even know that there was an issue, and it's quite often that partners also get blamed that they're the one that's got the issues. So I believed, oh my goodness, there must be something wrong with me.
So when you say you didn't know there was an issue because he didn't really open up, so you'd known, obviously he went. Did you meet? Had we already with him? While he was in Timor?
No.
Okay.
So
and he wasn't open with what happened in Timor.
Not really. I knew that he was a soldier and he served in the army, and I felt so honoured because that takes quite a bit of bravery and courage. So no, I was honoured to meet Duncan and respect the fact that he served in the army. But it was just that when he got back, and actually not when he got back, because he got back, so we got married in 2013. So this is my second marriage.
Yes.
And it was like 6 months later, I kid you not, the man that I married suddenly changed overnight. And I had no idea what was going on. So, but one thing I did know is that I loved him, and the only way I was going to get through this is if I separated the illness from the man. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes.
And once I understood that and I educated myself on PTSD and the symptoms, learnt something about the triggers, then we could begin on our relationship. But Duncan had to get to the point where he had to realise, you know what, this is, it's really impacting our marriage. It's really impacting the family. And I've got to give him credit. He actually did everything in his power to become a better person so that we could function better as a family.
And that's what you have to do, really, isn't it? You've got to make the changes yourself.
Yeah.
Before anything.
Yeah.
Derek, why did you decide to be an ambassador for Resolute Ready? What's important for you?
When I met Lydia, I actually didn't have a choice as to whether I was going to be or not. When Lydia gets on her passion moments, she just makes everybody do exactly what she wants. But for me, it is important because I've been through my own journey of service, 42 years in the police department, had some major injuries, and
Come on. Not. I mean, super major, I think. Really?
Yeah. Well, yeah, they were. I was shot 14 times. Yeah. And I had multiple massive life-threatening injuries, and I was lying on the ground for 3 hours. I lost so much blood that the first doctor to get to me thought I was already dead. And then he describes it that I took a last gasping breath, and then he and his team just worked their magic.
So at that time, what services were available to you? Do you felt there was enough?
5 days after the shooting, while I was still in intensive care, I threw my hand in the air and said, I want to talk to a psych.
Yeah.
I didn't think I was going strange. I didn't think there was anything wrong, but I just wanted to talk to a psych. I wanted to run things past this psych. And remember, this is 29 years ago now, so that was not normal back then for somebody to throw his hand in the air and go, especially somebody in that macho environment of policing and Star Group in particular. But it still took 3 months for them to get a psych to me, even though I was the one who wanted it. Now, I was very fortunate that I had prepared myself physically, mentally and emotionally for what I was realistically going to encounter. But that mental and emotional preparation is not something that was proactively given to us prior to in the police department. It was just something maybe that came from my parents. It was kind of intuitive. And so I was in a good spot. Now, as a result of that, I was able to handle the shooting well while I was on the ground. I was able to handle my recovery well as afterwards as well. My first meeting with the psych was 3 months after the shooting. And 3 months after the shooting, I picked his brain about what could happen, what might happen, who's dealt with these things badly, who's dealt with them well, what can I anticipate. He picked my brain. And as a result of that, he cleared me psychologically to go back to work the next day. Psychologically. Physically, I wasn't able to return for 2.5 years, but psychologically I was cleared to go back to work the next day, didn't need to come and see him again, no ongoing treatment. And so as a result of my traumatic experience, I've had post-traumatic growth. I've been able to grow from it and develop and have a stronger mindset and stronger belief in myself. And that's what I want to see happen for all the veterans, all, whether it's military or first responders. There is that possibility of growth after trauma, but it depends on how well we prepare ourselves and how soon we get services afterwards. And that's a point which is really lacking. And Lydia is bringing this online global hub that's already got input from, I think, 5 different countries for services. So it's a unique global support hub where people who aren't able to get the normal support through their military or first responder service, they can access these services immediately. They can get straight online and straight to that help.
We've got Lydia Hall and Derek McManus in the studio today. So, Lydia, what if you think you need it but you're unsure? And it's open to family members as well, isn't it? So what are some of the reasons or feelings that people, I mean, you could probably both answer this. You're like, oh, I think I need this, but I'm not sure. But yeah, well, I wasn't in the army, but my dad was, or what sort of feelings could you be displaying that you think, oh yeah, I reckon I might need a bit of help here?
I think observation of Duncan, he isolated himself. So he spent a lot of time in the garage and withdrew and sort of became disengaged from community. which is really dysfunctional for a family because you need, individuals to be present. But then there was depression, high levels of anxiety. We'd actually go to a restaurant and he'd have his back to the wall, and I didn't understand why, but he needed to see the entrances and exits.
Yes.
Yeah. So it was amazing. Like if we went to, say, a wedding, their brain kind of works a lot quicker than the average person. He'd be analysing all the exits in the space, or he'd be thinking, if there was an attack, how do I save this community? Always about the community. How do I save the community? Then there's the thought, where are my mates? I had my mates. I had my backup.
Yes.
Now I've come back home, and they're not there anymore. No one's got my back.
Yes.
So.
And you probably would have been a little bit like that as well, Derek, being in the job that you do.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm aware that that is a natural thing for me to want to do.
Yes.
But being aware of it and being aware of the reasons why, I'm able to go, oh, okay, I can't get a sit by the wall and see the outside. So I will then be able to pick places where there are mirrors or reflections that I can see backwards. Or I can just go, do you know something? I'm going to trust the people I'm with. They'll tell me if there's something strange happening. And so I'm not completely paranoid or hyper vigilant all the time.
Yes.
I'm aware. I like it. I'll probably still be listening to noises from behind me.
Yes.
But it doesn't overwhelm me.
Yeah, so it's never going to go away, but you know how to manage it.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing is that if you're a person who's in that military, first responder, a partner or children, the things to look for are changes in our behaviour that go on for a period of time, an extended period of time. So if you start being less patient, more crabby, unable to focus, unable to sleep, you're withdrawn, and it's not your normal pattern, then it may not be you that recognises it, maybe somebody else.
Yeah.
For me, 2.5 years after the shooting, my marriage broke down. Now, that was my choice, so I was kind of prepared for it, but I didn't realise that I was going into depression.
Yes.
And this depression was as a result of my marriage breakup. It was the biggest failure in my life, and I still hate that fact. It was a good thing, but I still hate it, and it affected me. But because I was going into depression, I was starting to spiral down. And once we start spiraling down, we're not able to do the higher level thinking of, okay, what's happening here? Okay, this is a sign of depression. Because I knew all the signs, but my level of thinking wasn't cognizant enough to be able to say, this is the cause. And I was fortunate that I recognised that I wasn't as passionate about life.
Yes.
So I went along to the doctor and said, hey, listen, I'm not eating well. What vitamin do I need to take to fix my... and he told me I had mild depression and mild PTSD.
So how do we get in touch, and what are your hours of operation? Is it just online, or is there...
it's an online virtual hub. So Resolute Ready, it's an online virtual hub.
Yeah.
Now, our mission is to stop the generational cycle of service trauma, restore relationship, and create initiatives to prevent suicide.
Yeah.
That's our ultimate goal.
So if people just log on to resoluteready.com, you can find all the information there.
Yeah, all the information's there. But what we're really asking at this point is to encourage service providers to come on board.
Okay.
Because the more we have on board, then the more this community can access.
Yeah.
And it is free for service providers to put their information on there and be available to the community. And the community, if it's a pay-for-service, we're very happy for that. So we just want people to know the service is available.
ResoluteReady.com for further information. Thank you for your time, Lydia Hall and Derek McManus, and best wishes with it.
Thank you so much.
Join us every Friday just after 3 p.m. when renowned Adelaide chef Chris Jarmer joins Jade Robran for the FIVEAA Food and Wine Show. Thanks to Smeg, seamlessly pairing performance with design. Taste the difference with Smeg. They have the perfect partner for every dish.
The rising cost of living is impacting all of us. Australians are finding it harder and harder to afford the essentials, and many are choosing to go without their essential prescription medicines. Australians shouldn't have to choose between medicines and other essentials. Visit affordablemedicines.com.au today to demand the government set a maximum price of $19 for prescription medicines. Authorised by Suzanne Greenwood, the Pharmacy Guild of Australia, Canberra.
So many of us had chickenpox as children, right? Well, did you know that after you've had chickenpox, the same virus can reactivate and cause shingles even years later? Shingles typically produces a painful blistering rash that can take up to a month to clear up. It can really disrupt your plans. To learn more about shingles, talk to your doctor and visit noshingles.com.au. That's no spelled K-N-O-W. Individual symptoms may vary. Sponsored by GSK Melbourne.
Did you know you can explore Aldi's catalogue online so you can enjoy our low prices here?
Or even here.
Browse Aldi's online catalogue at aldi.com.au or pick up a printed version in store. Aldi, good, different.
A small tool shed right up to giant industrial sheds. Made tough from quality steel at Adelaide's best price. Bargain Steel Centre. We're manufacturers right here in Adelaide. So middlemen, you're not paying for them. We'll pop out, measure up, then custom build and install. Fully welded so it's stronger. And we'll even sort council approval. Your new shed at Adelaide's best price, or we'll beat it by 5%. Suppliers of Colorbond Steel. bargainsteelcentre.com.au.
What if your next holiday was always parked just outside the front door? Dave Benson Caravans sell your next holiday, and unlike an expensive overseas holiday, your dollar remains as an asset, your caravan. With over 120 new or used caravans and campers on display under one roof, the DBC Caravan Professionals can tailor your next family holiday to your lifestyle and needs. Your Australian journey awaits and begins at Dave Benson Caravans, 64 Grand Junction Road, Kilburn.
You're such a loser.
Over 340,000 school kids will be bullied this year and won't tell anyone. Help break the silence around bullying. Donate to Dolly's Dream at doitfordollyday.org.au.
So you've heard about Call Me Continence products, yeah?
Of course.
Well, they reckon they're softer too.
But softer than an Angora rabbit?
Yeah.
Softer than an Angora rabbit wearing a cashmere sweater?
Yes.
Softer than an Angora rabbit wearing a cashmere sweater laying on a feather bed?
Yes. Softer than even that.
And if you're on a home care package or an NDIS participant, Call Me will give you a free trial pack worth up to $100.
Oh.
Just go to callme.com.au.
Angie McBride, Talking Adelaide on 1395 5AA.
It is 6 minutes to 4, 8223 Stephen Rowe, hello, how are you?
Hello, Angie. I've got my off-sider Benjamin here. He's doing a little bit of a work experience with us.
Hello,
Say hello,
Benjamin.
How are you?
Now, you were saying you liked WWE. That's pretty...
That's the sporty
Yes, I do.
Pretty popular, isn't
it? And
it?
also AEW also.
Do you have a favourite wrestler?
I do love Seth Rollins.
Yeah.
Seth? What do you like about Seth?
He's attractive.
Do you know what, Benjamin?
He's a good wrestler too.
When I take you out the back, I'll come off the top turnbuckle. Hey, I'll give you a big car bang.
So
anyway,
all
right, Benjamin, I've got to do my cross. Ready? Okay. So it's round 6 of the AFL, and the Crows and Port squads will drop. I think Crows are going unchanged. Port Adelaide have got a few. Charlie Dixon's one of them. We'll cover that. Nathan Van Berlo, VB from the Crows. Caroline Wilson's going to give us the end date for Gil McLachlan.
Really?
Well,
what's your prediction?
She
in
promised
10
that.
years' time?
No, I think when the budget drops early May and the funding comes out for Tasmania,
okay,
Gil can come on and say, well, there you go. I've given you the 17th licence, Tassie, and then he can sail off on his white steed into the sunset with his big droppers.
Have they recruited and have they got someone but they're just not telling you?
I don't know.
You don't know?
Put it this way, there's 3 or 4 names that have been mentioned. If they were any good, they'd have the job now. So clearly they're peanuts.
Okay. And you're talking...
Oh, no, I don't mean that. But you know, I get straight to the point. If there was a replacement and it was internal, they'd be in the chair now.
Yeah, yes.
You know what I mean?
It does feel like it. Live Golf, have you got Greg Norman in today?
No, we haven't. Not a fan of Greg. And not just because he snubs us.
Say that.
Well, not just because he snubs us. There's other things. I'm happy for the state, happy for the Premier, happy for the hotels, the restaurants, the clubs. I'm happy for Grange. I'm happy for the people lucky enough to be able to attend. We'll be there tomorrow live. I'm just not sold on Live Golf as a... Because I'm a old-fashioned type of snooze-mar.
Yeah.
And, you know, the
right.
Saudi stuff still.
Okay.
I'm not
Sitting on the
100% sold.
Okay. This morning on 5AA Breakfast, Rowey, Koshi said this to the boys about the Victorian clubs complaining. They think Adelaide clubs have got a unfair advantage, being the gather-round last weekend.
It is just laughable that anyone would say the Victorian teams are at a disadvantage. The Victorian teams never travel. The interstate teams, South Australia, and in particular Western Australia as well, the travel schedules are enormous compared with Victorian teams. It's sort of like an interstate trip for them to go from MCG to Marvel. With all this crap about, we should have gather round in Victoria, well, that's like every weekend is like gather round in Victoria. They have so many flaming games.
Yeah.
Give me a break. South Australia did it so well. Adelaide did it so well.
Wow, don't you reckon, Rowey?
Can you call the ambulance for me? Here's the thing, Richmond 15 games in Melbourne, Collingwood 15, Bombers 16. I could go on and on. Collingwood have 14 games at the MCG. Crows have 1. So if you want to talk about travel and fairness, it's still the VFL. And the sooner they change that and get their heads out of the sand, we'll move on. I'm done.
Thank you, Rowey.
Come on, Benjamin, we've got to go and do some
Enjoy,
work.
Benjamin. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks,
So one thing is I have a business has apparel and we're on clothing with like...
Oh, you're all over it. You can tell Rowey that after. We better go. He's good at promoting himself. Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Thank you. Bye-bye.
If you've got to keep it cool, you need Budget Car and Truck Rentals, especially if you're in business. Budget Car and Truck Rentals have a fleet of refrigerated vans, trucks and cool rooms standing by to keep your business in business. Transporting or storing flowers, chocolate and all fresh produces. Keep it cool in a refrigerated van, truck or cool room from Budget Car and Truck Rentals. Oh, great for parties too. Call 13 27 27. That's 13 27 27.
And me? I like Barbies. There's a lot of them around, but when you line them up together, the Weber wins hands down. Barnsey here from Barbecue Adelaide Weber Stores. For everything barbecue related this footy season, come see me at my Barbecue Adelaide Weber Stores, Jeb's Cross and Mile End. So, if you love a barbie and you want to learn some more, come see me at Jeb's Cross or my Mile End Weber store and prepare to get lit.
Hi, I'm Anne. I work with St. Louis Home Care and I'm an enrolled nurse. I work as a client engagement coordinator.
St. Louis was started by my great-grandmother and now is one big happy family with lovely staff just like Anne.
The people that work for St. Louis are very loving and caring.
Whether it's gardening, meals, shopping, home maintenance or social activities, we help people stay at home for longer.
If you're interested, come and join us.
Google St. Louis Home Care today.
Your accountant probably does a great job of knowing where almost every dollar in your business went. But the expense they might not have accounted for? Your time. The overtime, after hours, missed school plays, the priceless hours you sacrificed to shift the bottom line. So talk to MGK Accountants about a growth strategy that looks after your most important asset. You. Grow your profits and get your downtime back with a sustainable growth strategy from MGK Accountants. Visit mgkaccountants.com.au.
If you need to fix your pipes, call Precise. Call Precise. If your toilet's blocking up, call Precise. Call Precise. If your lights aren't turning on or your hot water is gone, or a plumber or an electrician, call Precise. Precise.
Precise Plumbing and Electrical. Call 1300 700 200. That's 1300 700 200. For fixed price services, call Precise.
For a plumber or an electrician, call Precise. Call Precise.
The secret to owning the best house in the street isn't about the house. It's the fence. Cast Stone is an SA company with a bold reputation for premium quality fences designed to enhance your beautiful home. Walk down the streets of Adelaide's best postcodes and you'll see their heritage, traditional or modern stone pillars designed to suit solid walling, tubular steel, cast aluminium, brush fencing or timber slats. You haven't finished it until you've fenced it. View the gallery at caststone.com.au or arrange a consultation.
Online, on DAB Digital Radio and on 1395 AM. Talking Adelaide. This is Adelaide's 5AA.